Hey now, it's Sharon, and I'm back to share another idea on how we can better policing here in the U.S. If you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the U.S., and I was also in the military. I share my ideas, thoughts, opinions, and suggestions on how we can better policing on an individual basis. And the reason why I say individual is because when I went through ostracism and retaliation for basically telling the truth during an investigation, I had to do some introspection, inspection of my own heart and my mind. And so it led me to write this book. Here it is right here. Looking back at my future, my Middle Eastern conflict, looking back at my future. I wrote the book and I share some of the ideas and opinions and research that I've done to better address the motives within my own heart. And so with that being said, I am retired. I retired back in 2019, and I tell the story in other videos. But last week in my new job, fairly new, I work with tiny individuals, tiny human beings, 1, 2, 3, 4-year-olds. And I was cleaning up after lunch, and I put the chairs around the area that I didn't want anybody to walk through because I'm cleaning. The kids understood it. I tell them not to walk through, they don't walk through, they walk around. But I watched an adult, an associate teacher, walk through, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? I'm trying to clean, wiping, and I'm watching her. And I was like, Miss such and such, I'm trying to clean. That's why I have the chairs up. Please don't walk through. And she does, oh, I'm just trying to hurry up and da-da-da. I said, okay. She walked through. So I turned around to go get the broom and the dustpan. She's walking back through. This is the third time now to get whatever. And I'm like, Miss such and such, can you walk around? I'm trying to clean and you are walking through what I'm trying to clean. And I'm trying to do this. She says, I'm trying to do the same thing you're trying to do and this, that, and the other thing. And now my temperature's getting up. And I said, you're being disrespectful. I asked you not to do it and you continue to do it. And she's like, she's sitting down because we're trying to get the kids in the cot at the same time. And she's doing this and I just don't understand. I'm trying to finish my work and da-da-da-da. And I'm doing the same thing you do. I said, it has nothing to do with the fact that I asked you not to do it and you're disrespectful. So I was kind of done with it. I went to the other side of the room, started cleaning. I hear the head teacher come out and ask her, what's going on? I heard your voices. So I'm listening and I hear her start to tell the story, but she's starting to cry. So I come around because now I'm triggered. I'll tell you why I'm triggered in a second. Now I'm triggered. I come around. I said, no. I said, tell the story without the tears. Tell the story without the tears and tell the truth. So she stops crying on cue when I said it. And she starts explaining. I said, now tell her. And I walked back to the other side of the room. I was probably maybe 20 feet from where she was. So I walked back to the other side of the room, maybe 30 feet. And I'm listening to her. I'm still sweeping, but I'm listening to her. I'm like, okay. She tells it. I'm not sure what the head teacher said. But in my mind, I was done with it. But what was triggering for me, it brought me back to my policing days where white women would use their tears to get me to arrest somebody or detain someone. Not all. But people call them Karens. And it triggered me. I'm like, here's an example. Because she stopped on cue. I said, don't you use that. I said, stop crying, tell the story. And she stopped. And she didn't start crying afterwards. She didn't pick up the crying, but she stopped. Which was interesting because, like I said, these Karens that I encountered, officers know when you're BSing and you're trying to weaponize us to do something you want us to do to the other person. We can tell. And there were plenty of times where there were white women that they started boo-hooing and crying, and I'm like, I'm not listening to that. I can't understand you. And I stop it right there. I'm like, I'll come back to you when you stop crying and you could better explain. It's interesting because we talked about that. I remember having conversations about that with other coworkers at the time, and what we would do in terms of just shutting it off for a second, like stopping them from talking to us. I'm not going to talk to you while you're crying. I'll wait till you calm down. because those tears, history would have it, those tears weaponized the police and people got hurt and injured, or sometimes even death. So it was just interesting to watch her stop crying on cue, tell the story. Never picked up crying after that. Maybe she was okay. I don't know. But you have to be mindful of those tears that you trigger. It's almost like on cue. I'm talking to white women. I don't think I've ever ran into a black female that did that. I don't remember at this moment, but it was mostly white women that did it. Yeah, they call them Karens. It's just my experience. I'm not saying all, just my experience. And my advice on that is learn the history behind weaponizing the police behind tears. Learn that history. White women, if you're sympathetic, go learn the history. Go learn the history. And then talk to your friends about it. I know it's unusual. Usually I hear or see white folks online talk about black folks, we need to do X, Y, Z. And here it is, brown female, black woman, brown, advising. Learn some truthful history. Go back and learn some of your history on weaponizing tears for white females. Males, can you be sympathetic? Are you sympathetic? Is sympathy in there? And my experience has been working with a lot of different white males. Very little sympathy, if at all any. And you're getting into policing? Okay. With that, here's the book again. My Middle Eastern Conflict, Looking Back at My Future. It's on lulu.com. That's lulu.com under the Religion and Spirituality tab. Read chapter 3 first. Chapter 3, part 3. It's called part 3. Part 3 first. And then go back and read the beginning of the book, especially if you're a Christian. Read part 3 first and then go back and read the beginning of the book. And that's it. I'll just share another thought next week. And as is our tradition, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.